Good morning, students, and welcome to our lesson on consecutive number problems. I think you'll find it a little bit fun. So let's get started. For our do now, we want you to respond thoughtfully and carefully to the question about setting and achieving goals. Sometimes we don't always reach our goals, but it's for you to think about whether you should still set them anyway. And now that you're in eighth grade and looking toward high school, I want you to start thinking about how you can really lean in to achieve your goals. So that was our do now discussion today. Our objective is to use algebra to solve what we call consecutive number problems. And I have seen this type of algebra problem show up on standardized testing, high school entrance exams, or the SAT, ACT, things like that. So you want to be careful and understand carefully how you can solve these kinds of problems and recognize them when you see them on a test. Our essential question is, how can I use algebra to help me find consecutive numbers when I'm given limited clues? You're just given a little bit of information, and you're really going to have to tease out what the problem is telling you. Our assignment today is to watch the October 27th video, and we're going to work 8 problems number 14 to 21 in what is called set 3, and we'll get to that in a minute. And our exit ticket will ask us to answer what is a consecutive number and what is the difference between an even consecutive or a consecutive odd number. So for homework, we'll finish up homework 8 by doing problems 8 to 12, and I want you to go ahead and look at your unit assessment and do problems 16, 17, and 18. So 5 problems here and 3 problems there for a total of 8 problems tonight. Okay, and remember, tomorrow is Work from Home Wednesday, so you'll have an assignment in Teams, and it does count toward a grade, and it counts toward attendance, and it is due by 2 p.m. So let's get started, and this was our do now today. Oh, here's our pumpkin. Today's pumpkin is brought to you by this pumpkin with a mask, but you can see that this pumpkin is smiling behind the mask, and I hope you are too when you're in school. So that's today's pumpkin. So our do now that we discussed was, why should you set and achieve goals? And should you set goals even if you aren't sure you can achieve them? And I hope you do that. It's great to always have something to work toward. And this is our exit ticket question. We will come back to that. What is a consecutive number? And what is the difference between a consecutive even number and a consecutive odd number? So let's get started. Now, we're jumping down to the lower part of this page because we worked those 2 problems at the top yesterday. So we're jumping down to set 3, the consecutive numbers. Excuse me. So let's look at some examples. So what is a consecutive number and what does consecutive mean? Consecutive means one after another. So consecutive numbers could be 3, 4, 5, etc. But in terms of algebraically representing those consecutive numbers, that 3 would be x. So what would 4 be? X plus 1. 5 would be x plus 2, and so forth. Now, consecutive even numbers, for example, would be 2, 4, 6, and so forth. How do we represent those algebraically? Well, 2 would be our x. 4 would be x plus what? Plus 2. And 6 would be x plus 4, and so forth. Consecutive odd numbers, for example, we could start with the lowest one, the easiest one, 1, then 3, then 5, and so forth. And if 1 is our x, then 3 would be our x plus 2. It's 2 more than 1. Our 5 would be x plus 4. It's 4 more than 1. Okay, you see how that works. So let's use this kind of knowledge to solve a few problems. So we'll start with number 14. The sum, okay, sum, that is the answer we get when we add, of two consecutive numbers is 123. Is usually means equals. So find the numbers. We're going to do a let box, just like we did in the other problems, or an X box, our let X box. So our let X box will be let X equal. So when we had our other problems yesterday, we let X equal the smaller number. Here we're going to let X equal the first consecutive number. I'm going to abbreviate that. That's not just a hashtag, that means number. So then we're going to let X plus 1 equal the second consecutive number. And this is our X box. Now that we've set up our X box, let's set up our formula, our problem. So our problem will be set up, let's read it again. The sum, so we're adding, of two consecutive numbers is 123. So we have, let's change our color. We have our first consecutive number and our second consecutive number. Our first consecutive number is X plus our second consecutive number, X plus 1, equals 123. Okay, so what do we do to solve? Well, first we combine like terms. 2x plus 1 equals 123. Let's subtract 1 from both sides. 2x equals 122. We'll divide both sides by 2, and x equals 61. Now, what is that 61? In fact, it's not a final answer, it's an answer to that problem, but what is that 61? 61 is the first number, okay? Now remember, two consecutive numbers. So what's the second number? 62. So how can we check our answer? How can we make sure we got the right answer? Well, we can add 61 plus 62, and if they equal 123, as our problem stated, then our answer checks. That's it. That's all there is to it. So yes, they do get a little tricky, but this is the general sum and gist of it. What you're going to find, students, is that they are worded slightly differently. So what you're going to need to be careful about is teasing out what the problem is, the nature of the problem. So in the first problem, it said the sum of two consecutive numbers. In this problem, number 15, it says if the sum of two consecutive numbers. It's basically the same problem, just worded slightly differently. So be very careful. So we're looking at consecutive numbers, not consecutive odd or consecutive even, just one right after the other, is equals 85. Okay, so we're going to let x equal the first consecutive number. And we're going to let x plus 1 equal the second consecutive number. There's our X box. So we have our X, and our X plus 1 will equal 85. So let's just write out our problem. X plus 1 equals 85. We'll combine like terms. And we'll subtract 1 from both sides. 2x equals 84. We'll divide by 2. And x equals 42. And in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, I believe that is the answer to all the questions of the universe. What is 42? So what is 42? 42 is the smaller number. So the next consecutive number must be 43. So let's check and see if our answer works. So let's add 42 plus 43. And if they equal 85, as we are told, then our answer checks. So these are our two numbers, 42 and 43. Okay, number 16 is a little bit different. Number 16 is going to ask us to find consecutive even numbers, okay? So the even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we've got two consecutive even numbers, and they will add up to 54. So they're going to equal 54. Start with an X box, as always. So let X equal the first consecutive number. Now, consecutive even, we're going to skip a number. So this time it's not X plus 1. We're going to let X plus 2 equal the second consecutive even number. And I could say consecutive even number. And that is our X box. So now we have defined these terms for the purposes of the problem. We have X and we have X plus 2. And they equal 54, so let's just add them up. X plus 2 equals 54. Let's combine like terms. 2x plus 2 equals 54. Let's subtract 2 from each side of the equation. 2x equals 52. And let's divide by 2. And x equals 26. So our first consecutive number, remember we said let x equal the first consecutive number. So the first number is 26. Now remember, these are consecutive even numbers, so the second number is 28. And let's add those up and see if our answer checks. 26 plus 28. And that does indeed equal 54, so our answer checks, and these are the two numbers. They're kind of fun. Kind of do a trick on your friends and, say, hey, I can see if you can solve this problem. I can. You're getting very strong in your algebra skills. It just takes practice, students. So number 17, this time we're looking at two consecutive odd numbers, and they will equal, the sum of two consecutive odd numbers is 128. Find the numbers. We'll start with our X box. Let X equal the first consecutive odd number. And so what's the next one? How are we going to define the next number? So just like the even numbers, odd numbers, every other number, even number, every other number, we're adding 2. So let X plus 2 equal the second consecutive odd number. And there's our X box already defined for us. So let's set up our problem. So we've got X plus 2 equals 128. So X plus 2 equals 128. Combine like terms. Subtract 2 from each side. And we have 2x equals 126. And the next thing we'll do is we will divide by 2. And x will equal 63. So 63 is our first consecutive odd number. The next one will be 65. And if we add up 63 plus 65, they will equal 128, and our answer checks. Okay, let's look at number 18. The sum, of course, when we see that, we know we are adding, of 3 consecutive even numbers is 138. find the numbers. Okay, we're just going to have a bigger X box, that's all. So let's start with, sorry about that, let X equal the first consecutive number, consecutive even number. Then we'll let X plus 2 equal the second consecutive even number. Now, we've got 3 numbers this time. So what are we going to do? We're going to let X plus 4. So if we have even numbers, think of it. 2, 4, 6. This is X. This is X plus 2. The 6 would be X plus 4. So we're going to let X plus 4 equal the third consecutive even number. So let's just add them all up. I'm going to change the color here on the marker. Just make sure we've defined all of these, the first, the second, and the third consecutive even number. So we will have X, that's our first number, plus X plus 2, that's our second number, plus X plus 4, and all of that will equal 138. So we have a bit of combining like terms we can do here. We have 1, 2, 3 X's here. So 3X. And then we've got 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 6 equals 138. Now subtract 6 from both sides. 3X equals 132. This time we divide by 3 to isolate our X, and our X will equal 44. So the 44 is our first consecutive even number. So the next consecutive even number must be 46, and the third one must be 48. So if we add those up, 44 plus 46 plus 48, and we add that up, it will indeed equal 138, and our answer checks. So these are the 3 numbers. Now we've got 3 again, but we've got 3 consecutive odd numbers. So the sum, which means we're adding 3 consecutive odd numbers, is 57. What are the 3 numbers? We start with our X box. So we'll start with X will equal the first consecutive odd number. So odd numbers are like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So we need X plus 2 for the second consecutive odd number. And then X plus 4 will be our third consecutive odd number. And this is our X box. And so we've defined our 3 numbers with X, X plus 2, and X plus 4, and all of that equals 57. So we have X plus 2 plus X plus 4 equals 57. Let's combine like terms. 1, 2, 3 X's. And we can combine the 2 and the 4. 3X plus 6 equals 57. And let's subtract 6 from both sides. 3X equals 51. And X equals, divide by 3, x equals 17. So 17 is our first consecutive odd number, then 19, and then 21. And if we add those up, we will have 57, and our answer checks. Okay, now we've got something a little bit different, but remember, these problems are all about language. So it says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 33 more than the smallest of the numbers. Find the numbers. Okay, what are we doing here? So let's get a nice bright color to start. We're adding 3 consecutive numbers. So that's one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, we're going to add 33 to the smallest number. So we're going to have x on both sides of the equation. Let's create our x box and define our variables. So let x equal, so it's 3 consecutive numbers, one right after the other. So x is the first consecutive number, and x plus 1 is our second consecutive number. And then x plus 2 is our third consecutive number. And this is our x box, all set. Now we've defined these 3 numbers with x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. So this is the left side of our equation. X plus 1 plus x plus 2 is, and then it says 33 more than the smallest. Well, the smallest number is x. And if it's 33 more, it's x plus 33. And that's it. That's our problem. This is what we solve. So we'll start by combining like terms on the left. We have 1, 2, 3 x's. And then we can combine our 1 and our 2 to make 3. 3x plus 3 equals, and on the right side, x plus 33. Let's subtract x from each side of the equation to isolate the x's on the left. 3 minus 1 is 2x plus 3 equals 33. Let's subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. I bet a lot of you can already see the answer. 2x equals 30. And x equals, well, divide by 2. X equals 15. So our 3 numbers then, these are consecutive numbers. So our 3 numbers are 15, 16, and 17. And we can check this problem by adding them up and subtracting 33, and we will end up with the original number, the original x, which is 15. In our last problem, it says in cross country, the team score is determined by the place each individual runner finishes. For example, this is important. First place is 1 point. 16th place is 16 points, etc. So I guess the whole idea is not to have a lot of points, kind of like golf. In their latest meet, the boys cross country team scored 55 points. If there were 5 runners on the team, and each runner finished one after the other, that means consecutively, what places did they each come in? So we've got 5 runners. They came in consecutively, one after the other, and their total was 55. This is just like the very first problem we did, but this time we have 5 numbers. So we're going to have a big X box. Let X equal the first runner. So then x plus 1 is the second runner. X plus 2 will be the third runner. X plus 3 will equal the fourth runner. And x plus 4 will be the fifth runner. Here's our X box. All of this is going to add up to 55 points. So we have our X plus 1, X plus 2, X plus 3, X plus 4. It will all add up to 55. So X plus 1 plus X plus 2 plus X plus 3 plus X plus 4 equals 55. So now we need to combine like terms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's. 5x plus, let's add our constants. We have 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 more is 6, plus 4 more is 10. 5x plus 10 equals 55. We'll subtract 10 from both sides of the equation, and 5x equals 45. Divide both sides by 5, and x equals 9. So the runners came in 9th place, 10th place, 11th place, 12th place, and 13th place. And that's it. So let's go back up to our exit ticket. And what is a consecutive number? Consecutive number is one number after another. And the difference between a consecutive even or consecutive odd number is, so our odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, and so on. Our even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and so on. Just for completeness, our odd numbers will always end in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. Do you see that? They always end in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Even numbers always end in 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. 0, the number 0, is neither even nor odd, but a number that ends in 0 is even. So that's it. You've been working really hard. Today we'll draw a little pumpkin for you. And keep up the good work in algebra. I know with some practice, you will absolutely be great.